Good morning, gang. Happy Monday morning. Okay, on we go. Matthew 24, verses 6 through 13. Bible, kind of go that way. There will be wars and rumors of wars, but it is not the sign of the end of times. Many of you have quoted that many times on different videos of different people. Yeah, well, wars, we got some minor ones right now. I wouldn't consider what's going on in Gaza a major war comparatively. I wouldn't consider what's going on in Ukraine a major war comparatively. When I'm saying comparatively, I'm saying World War II. Okay. Are we headed in that direction? Yeah, I'd say so. Okay. Here in the last few years, where the United States has decided to spend all its effort, all its money on DEI and ESG policies, when we're worried about feeding, housing illegals, where we are continuing to ramp up the welfare state and, oh, don't worry about getting a job, we'll just give you money, right? I'm going to give you a stupid fact here, real quick. Do you realize that 42% of the U.S. GDP is based on government jobs? Yeah, okay. Nearly half of what this country's worth is because of the government. That's wrong, okay? To give you an idea of how that compares, that's about the same rate that the Soviet Union was in the 1980s for their GDP. Anybody remember what happened to the Soviet Union in 1991? Yeah, okay. When the government is responsible for too much of the health and welfare of the public, all of a sudden the country collapses. And the United States is feasibly ripe for the picking. And the rest of the world sees it. Unfortunately, our politicians are too blind to pay attention. They're more worried about, oh, let's talk about abortion or what flag we can fly over a city hall. These are the big issues that our knuckleheads, both sides in Washington, think are important. While the rest of the world goes, we're just going to wait till they self implode and then we're going to take them over. Okay. You look at what's going on right now in the world with other countries, other adversaries. Okay. And primarily, you can say our two main adversaries in the world are China and Russia. Okay. Unfortunately, because of the idiocy of our politicians over the last 50 years, we've created our own enemies. Wonderful. You go back to the early 1970s and China was a third world country. Now it's got a bigger economy than the United States. That's pretty scary, okay? When you get to what China could do to us, war, to take over. And I'll give you this. Well, we're spending money on all this hotels and phones for illegals. China's spending their time building up their military, okay? Their Navy, for example. China's Navy has turned out 2 aircraft carriers here recently, and a third is expected to begin its sea trials soon. They'll have nearly as many aircraft carriers as we do within the next couple of years. Yeah, okay. They are making heavy catapult systems to handle heavy bombers with nuclear capability off aircraft carriers. Yeah, you're on the West Coast. Guess what? Okay. As they joke all the time, how many times do we have to level Los Angeles till you guys realize we're serious? Okay. That's paraphrasing basically what the Chinese said. We keep scaling back our military spending in favor of welfare and health care. Okay, that's it. If you've seen all the stories lately about New Yorkers screaming for reparations, that will be really funny if they decide that everybody, regardless whether they're a descendant of slaves, even those people, okay, are eligible for reparations. You watch how fast every other race moves out of New York. Okay. And then you can have one whole big state that's a welfare state. China's been, this is what I want you to pay attention to, though. China's been building artificial islands, right? We all know that, okay? They've been building naval bases, they've been building airfields, they've been buying land in the United States, right? Near our airfields. Do you think the intention is basically just to take over the Air Force bases they're building there so they can land their stuff? Okay, that's obvious, right? But here's an interesting one. Does anybody realize that China is digging and building hundreds of miles worth of tunnels and bunkers in China? Now, you saw the Tucker Carlson piece maybe a few weeks ago on the Russian subway system and how beautiful it is, right? Okay. And I've been on it. It is. It's gorgeous. And it's clean. No drug dealers, no homeless sleeping on the floor. It's also very deep. Why? Because the subway system in Moscow was built for two purposes. One being the metro, and two, it was built to be a bomb shelter in case of nuclear war. Okay. Do we have anything like that? We did. Okay. Those have all gone into disrepair. Nobody pays attention to them. We don't have anything like that anymore. For Russia, that's all still perfectly running. China's doing the same thing, not necessarily with the subway system, but hundreds of miles of underground bunkers and underground tunnels where they can get through. And it is an extremely closely guarded secret. People that have tried to be spies for the West and tell the West are summarily executed. Just give you that as an idea. Okay. I mean, these tunnels make what El Chapo did in Arizona look like nothing. Okay. So give you this, all right? China has about 100 nuclear missiles at their disposal that are already armed, ready to go. It's a lot, okay? Easily destroy the world. Okay? They only had about 20 40 years ago. So they are building up their nuclear capacity. You want to know what their goal is by 2030, 6 years from now? 500 nuclear missiles. Why do you need to build that many nuclear missiles unless you're planning on something? Okay, 100 is a lot. 500 is global decimation. Okay, but then you go into the other side. Let's talk about our complete lack of concern in the United States. Last year, okay, 2023, CBP reported 37,000 Chinese illegals apprehended at the southern border. Okay. 37,000. Oh, well, we've had 10 million. What's 37,000? Yeah, that's 50 times more Chinese nationals arrested at the border than there was in 2021. That might have something to do with it. Are they planning for war? Are they planning on taking over the United States. Very possible. So then let's go to the other adversary. Let's go to Russia, who, thanks to Bill Clinton, originally, Bill Clinton's the one that screwed everything up with Russia when the Soviet Union fell. Russia could have been an ally, and Bill Clinton had his head stuck so far up his ass, he was still in a Cold War mentality and decided to push Russia away. Well, in the last 30 years, we've managed to push Russia right into China's hands. So now our adversaries are friendly. I will not say they're allies, okay? Because China absolutely China chews them up and spits them out. They will take everything they can from a country and then leave it for waste. Okay? That's pretty much what China will do to Russia. But in the meantime, China can get the Russian technology, the stuff they haven't stolen from us. But there's a lot of Russian technology that's better than ours. I don't know. We could kind of go into, let's talk about strategic nuclear weapons. The Sarmat system, the Russian strategic, that's the most technologically advanced nuclear weapons in the world. While the U.S. is still counting on our Minuteman missiles, 1970s technology. Cool. Remember 1970s, this was before cable TV, way before cell phones, before computers. Yeah. This was when they put a man on the moon and we needed, a computer system, the size of a house to do something like that, right? There's still rotary dial phone days. Okay. Just saying. That's our nuclear strategic. So you talk about, okay, let's think about the resistance. How can we defend ourselves against such a strategic missile? Okay. Yeah, well, let's see. The Russians have the most advanced anti-missile systems in the world by a long shot. And we don't have anything that can stop Sarmat or the hypersonic missiles they've got. Anything. We have no defense. We have zero defense. I don't care what the government tells you. We can't stop a nuclear attack on the United States. We do not have the capacity. Okay. Just want you to think about that. So you think about what's going on in Ukraine. All right. Now, for about 9 months, you have Sergei Karaganov, who is a Kremlin advisor, has been from Boris Yeltsin's days all the way through Vladimir Putin's days, been promoting the idea to Putin, Russian government, okay, that Russia should use nuclear weapons preemptively in order to make NATO realize that Russia's serious and they're not backing down in Ukraine. Would that get NATO out of Ukraine? Possibly. Okay. But then you look at what's going on in Ukraine. Russia's still moving westward, guys. It doesn't get a whole lot of press, but they're getting closer and closer to Kyiv and closer to Odessa, which are in western Ukraine. Okay. I talked about Transnistria a few weeks ago. If Russia gets as far as Kyiv and Odessa, they connect with Transnistria. That's when all of a sudden everything that you hear about Moldova, the Baltics, Poland, getting worried about Russia doing more. And China's right at their back door. China's an ally. China will help. Remember, the whole Silk Road initiative, China wants to get into Europe too. And if they've got a ally in Russia who's got control of the land routes and the Black Sea, China's got access. Do we wind up with nuclear war? Maybe. Maybe not. But then the question comes in, how prepared are you for that? Okay. I've talked in the past about setting up a area in your home that you can quickly make radiation proof. Okay, you're not going to do the whole house. That's going to be, but you need to have a safe room where you've got food, where you've got water, preferably where you have access to a bathroom. So, like a master bedroom is the best for this because you can close off that one section. You have access to everything. Do you have gas mask? Do you have an NBC suit? Do you have stuff to seal your windows so you can keep the radioactive fallout from coming down? It's gonna be ugly, guys, if this happens. Wars and rumors of war, right? Stocking food and everything is all great, okay? That's like third grade prepping. Got to start somewhere. You got to get to third. You got to get through kindergarten before you can get to high school, and everything in between. But don't just think that you got a bunch of canned food and some flashlights in the house that you're ready for what's coming. Most people have no clue how to prepare for war. Our AR-15s aren't going to do us any good in that kind of war. At that point, it's survival. And that's what's on the horizon. Pinball out.